dealing with a falsehood, you're faced with two options. You can accept it or you can reject it. The basis upon which we take one of these actions is a product of our critical thinking capabilities and a desire to know what is true instead of confirming our bias. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. On Brainstorm, we choose the hard truths over the comforting lies. Reason, compassion, skepticism. This is the Brainstorm Podcast.
All right. We are back. I was going to say, welcome back to the anarchist collective that is known as the Brainstorm Podcast. But instead, this is the Brainstorm Rec Table. The Brainstorm production that covers news and current events because we're changing formats.
And rectums.
Yes, and still rectums.
The Rec Table Collective.
That's right.
We'll never leave rectums behind.
Of course not. We have to include them.
No rectums left behind.
That would be stupid.
Although if we're not in this studio anymore, then it can't be this table. It wouldn't be the rec table anymore.
Maybe I should. That should be your parting gift. That table.
Yeah,
you can.
Nice big table.
Come to my apartment. My kitchen table is a rectangle.
There you go.
All right. As I was saying, this is now the Brainstorm production that covers news and current events from the past month with a mind toward critical thinking and progressive values. I'm Cory, and my panel tonight are Lisa.
I'm still here.
Angela.
Oh, hi.
Hello. And Sarah.
Hello.
With the always amazing Dave doing sound.
I am doing sound. Google's not.
Yeah.
We're back.
We are in Roman Empire Studios in Regina, Saskatchewan, and today is January 18th, 2019. So, current events. I've kind of been collecting some links and stuff over the course of the month. One of the first things I wanted to talk about a little bit was the government shutdown in the U.S., which is incredibly long.
It's still going.
Yeah, it's still going. Like almost 30 days now.
Yeah, I think it's the longest.
It is
now in history.
Trump has the record.
Yeah.
The greatest shutdown
sure
ever.
That. Yeah.
Right.
Nobody does shutdowns.
The bigliest.
Yeah, the bigliest.
And he's gone through like a number of like different tactics trying to blame the Democrats and get his wall. But
I feel bad for the people that aren't getting paid, especially the ones who have to still work and not get paid.
I feel worse for the ones who are not getting paid because they're not working, because those people, as far as I understand, are not going to get paid for time they're not working. Whereas if you're whatever,
you'll at least get
service
back pay.
person, you'll get the back pay for the time. So you will get paid.
I changed.
Whereas
I feel worse for
well, whatever.
I feel bad for
everybody.
It's all bad, but like that, just to clarify that, it's kind of interesting.
But I love that like
America.
the TSA employees in whatever airport it is are just like blasting like hardcore rap like.
Oh yeah.
No,
they're not even really doing their jobs. They're just going and being there. Right?
And like the not funniest because it's not funny at all, but like it's a complete myth that the majority of illegal immigrants come from the border. They come via plane and overstay visas. So the most ironic thing is that like you have less TSA agents and therefore less flight security. Like, is that not a bigger security threat and cause for emergency?
Like
than,
you're talking about like a border, like that would be more like Homeland Security, not TSA, which is
no, but like just the fact that everybody's afraid of terrorists and airplanes and stuff, and like you're causing one security issue over a perceived other security issue.
Yeah.
Like if the TSA is short-staffed and, like, are they doing their jobs as good? Like, how many fucks do you have to give at this point?
My question is where public opinion is in this. Like, I don't, like, is it pretty much, like, because, what's got, like, Trump's got just under 40% support. So are those people all pretty much saying, oh, it's all the Democrats' fault and everyone's saying it's all Trump's fault? Or is it, or is he even losing his own, like, who's...
Well, I think he was real stupid by that one meeting with Pelosi and Schumer. Basically said, well, yeah, I'll be proud to shut down the grid. So
but I think his supporters support him to do that, right?
Yes, 100%. So who's being blamed for the shutdown is to be like, oh yeah, Trump shut it down, but we're totally fine with that.
He doesn't have majority support for sure.
Yeah.
But he doesn't generally have majority support.
No.
But does he have less than his general support, I wonder?
I don't think so. I think it's around the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Trump people still support Trump and the non-Trump people still hate him, and that's it, same as it always is.
Yeah,
there was something I heard, and there was like some percentage of people who were previously supportive are now not as supportive because of their empathy towards these people that are not working.
Yeah, and that speech he gave that he demanded airtime on major networks. There was some poll, and I don't put too much stock in polls, but this was a pretty stark one. Is did Trump's speech make you want the wall now, or believe in it more? And it was 2% of people said yes. So it's well, that's really bad. But again, I don't know how good of a poll that was or whatever.
Yeah.
I like to believe that most people are understanding that the only reason the government is shut down is because Trump wants a wall.
But I don't think so. Well, yes, but I think that
other people
his supporters would
too.
say that the Democrats are being unreasonable and not giving him the thing that he was elected to do. You know what I mean? He's got a mandate. He should do it. Whereas everyone else would think, well, he's
what's their
holding
excuse
the
for not
hostage.
having done it when they controlled Congress, though?
You can
he's been
find
in power for 2
there's all
years.
sorts
Why?
of excuses for anything. I'm just talking about perception and where.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if this could help crumble his support. I think the issue that Trump runs up against quite starkly is that the executive branch is really all about the one person. It's about the president. He's filling that role. Whereas the Democrats is more nebulous. You can't point to one person to say, this is so-and-so's fault. So I think it does hurt Trump the way that their whole system is set up. He's one person digging in his heels versus a group of people digging in their heels.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
That's what I do. Come here. I make the points.
Is that what you do?
They're all good. They're excellent points.
Well, I'm just kidding.
Tremendous
I
points.
make the best points.
I don't want, as much
points.
as I want these poor people to go back to work and get paid again, I don't want the Democrats to. And I feel like that's going to be it, is that Trump is so stubborn and such an asshole that he literally gives no shits about these people. And eventually the Democrats are going to have to cave because they actually give a shit about people.
Well, but that's the trouble too, is they as then you set a precedent.
Exactly.
We can be bullied into anything.
Yeah.
All you got to do is shut down the government and
I really think the emergency procedures scenario is more likely to happen than anything, or the what do you call it, state of emergency.
State of emergency.
Yeah, I really feel like that's where it's going. And
is that where he uses emergency money to build the wall anyways?
You bet.
Yeah.
He's going to take money from the military, is what he said. So,
and he'll get other superpowers too,
Yes.
which is terrifying. But
I 100% think that's where it's going to go. I mean, because neither side's going to cave at this point, and the way it is. And he's already warming everybody up to the idea that this is a state of emergency due to the health and wellness of certain people and blah blah blah. That's what his whole national
migrant
address.
caravans.
Yeah, the migrant caravans.
Why did they elect their racist grandpa to be president? You know what I mean? You could just see him exactly the same personality sitting there in his boxers and slippers and his dirty armchair yelling at Fox News. It's same opinion, same approach, except just poorer.
Even Fox News has been challenging him, though. Obviously the ones you expect to, but still, quite openly, So
I'm just saying, it's just.
I think him being so off the rails and buying McDonald's for people, all that sort of stuff
weird.
is going to eventually push more and more Republicans away and be like, okay, this guy maybe
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I think if what has happened thus far has not turned you off of Donald Trump,
that's very
ain't
different.
nothing gonna do it. Trump famously said he could murder somebody in Times Square and he wouldn't get arrested. I think he's right now he's right. It's just
fuck it on.
The people who support him just don't care how many pussies he grabs, and they elected him anyways. So let's think back to the lie counter and all this. There's just you can't. There's nothing.
And then a woman uses the word
I was
motherfucker,
just
and then
gonna
she's
say
like,
Right.
Oh no.
Pearls are clutched
Yeah.
throughout the nation.
all of the pearls.
All of the pearls.
I think definitely though there is a portion of Trump's base that's very focused on government expenditures, and I'm sure there's a portion of them who aren't happy with the idea of using that much tax money for this purpose. Like there's got to be a portion of his supporters.
Well,
who,
there's got to be a bunch
know.
of them that are like pro-military and stuff. So if he's going to
That
take
too,
money
right?
out of the military
Well,
budget,
And he did promise his supporters that Mexico would pay for the wall, that the Americans
Yeah.
wouldn't have to pay
and
for
now
it.
he's
that's not
saying, "I
happening.
never said that." And it's like, how are you that fucking delusional? And how is nobody?
It's funny
Remember,
because
like-
yeah, he said that
He's like, of course they're not going to directly pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
they're not. It's not like I never said they'd write us a check, and then you flash to the past where he's like,
Yeah.
maybe they'll even write us a check.
Yeah, no,
Like,
he was
okay,
very
I get
purposeful.
not directly. So then how? It's like, oh, the new trade agreement.
I believe,
but
Kellyanne
how?
Conway was trying to spin it that way, right? Wasn't she? Like,
Oh, yeah.
the new trade, the new NAFTA was.
But
them for it.
explain that then. How does that make that happen? I don't think they have yet. They're just like, yeah, trade agreement.
It's a little nebulous.
And in other news,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just, I'm really getting
a
turned
crapshoot.
off of. I like listen. I don't know. I don't know.
I can't
only
turn away
follow
from a
certain
train
things.
wreck,
Oh, but
so
I see.
can't.
I find myself just being like, ugh. Certain things I like to like. I really like. I'm listening to a lot of tune in with Preet. Yeah. Anyway, so he's a former U.S. attorney, and he was famously fired by Trump. And
Okay.
Anyway, so
Oh,
now
yeah.
he's a podcast. It's great, and he talks a lot about like the Mueller investigation and that stuff. I can't get enough of, but I
that's
don't
interesting.
know, man. I get on the New York Times Daily podcast once in a while. I'll listen to it like kind of religiously for a few weeks, and I'm like, oh, it's just too much. I gotta stop, and then I can't.
they when they went in and they were talking to Chuck Schumer, and they kept
That
like
podcast.
yeah, and they on the Daily, and they kept hammering at him as though like, well, why don't you just compromise with him? Why don't you just fold? And like kept having to get him to justify it. And I mean, that's their job, right? But I was getting a little annoyed listening to it. Like, I'm like, because if he folds, if the Democrats fold, then that sets a precedent. And it just says like, we can be bullied into doing whatever you want.
Why doesn't Trump just fold?
Yeah.
yeah.
So just a little update here, because he just tweeted this not too long ago. I will be making a major announcement concerning the humanitarian crisis on our southern border and the shutdown tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. live from the White House.
How is he calling it a humanitarian?
I
because
guarantee
he's
you,
had to reframe it, right? Like now
I guarantee you, state of
Who
emergency.
taught him
Right.
that word?
some
I
marketing
think he's
person.
going to declare it a state of
I
emergency
think he's going to do it
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. I think
because
you're
of
right,
the
Dave.
border.
I think he's there.
Yeah.
I think
Well, that's
he's
his
there.
pretense.
They've
I think.
already like predicted it.
That's
Like a
some
week
crazy
ago or
fucking
something.
fear mongering.
100%.
Well, and now because he can't fearmonger it, right? Because the numbers don't support him. So now he's got to reframe it as a humanitarian crisis. Like these people are
Exactly.
coming across this desert. It's perilous. Children are dying.
And how
because
does
of
a
this.
wall help?
Yeah, they're
that?
coming to murder
Well,
our people.
It doesn't, but the wall will deter them from crossing the desert.
Trump has never let
So they
back
could just die back
away.
home instead.
No.
He's got
So we want
yeah,
more.
he's got like the funny thing, like there was another I think it was the Daily also where like a couple people who work for the New York Times drove up to the river, which is essentially the border, and just swam across. And
The
then
Rio Grande, is that what's called? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Am I wrong?
I don't.
No, that's
No,
in
you're not wrong.
Brazil.
That's
no.
one.
I honestly cannot remember.
It's called something. The
But-
river has a name for sure. See all the good
has a
points
name.
that I make. I'm so glad I'm here.
The river probably has a name. Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, I was just so they swam across, and I mean, people on the other side didn't let them stay there. They were like, "You can't stay here." So then they had to swim back across. It was
He's just right. It's the Rio Grande.
there. You go.
I've never been right before. What's the one in Brazil called? Oh, the Amazon.
Never seems unlikely.
Never been right. You said you made all the
Sure,
good
that's
points.
not correct.
That's true. That's a good point, Dave.
But yeah, it was interesting because there are sections where people just, I mean, they could cross, but they just don't.
Yeah.
It's not like building a wall across the entire thing is going to make it that those people suddenly that aren't crossings.
Well, and they like when he visited the border, they were showing him a tunnel. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And he still doesn't have like a.
Yeah.
You know, I thought for sure after that he'd be like, and we're going to build it 10 feet deep and 10 feet high. And no, it's just still a wall.
Well, you know,
And it's like.
It's actually just a fence.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
A barrier.
You can see through it.
Barrier. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, all the stats that are coming out about the effectiveness of this wall are all about like, oh, so drugs are being smuggled in through ports, like not across this open desert, or like the other thing is like, oh, the crime rate from illegals is like actually not that
lower
bad.
than American citizens.
yeah, it's on average, it's worse for Americans. So it's like, what are your concerns here? Not that you shouldn't have any border security, but you're not really addressing anything with a wall. You're just catering to your base. That's it.
Yeah.
Did you see that ad that the Mexican airline put out?
Yes, that's so good.
I did not.
They basically went and talked to some people in the southern states and had their DNA checked, and they were basically giving people discounts based on what percentage of Mexican DNA they had.
Oh, geez.
That's great.
And of course, all of them are like, "Oh no, I'd never go to Mexico. I don't like Mexico." And then it's like, "Oh well, turns out you're 18% Mexican, so you qualify for an 18%." Oh really? Oh, and then like suddenly they're all on board with it. It's like, oh my god, just give people.
And then
free
somebody
shit.
was mad that they didn't have as much as the other person.
Yeah.
And there's one lady that had like 0% Mexican
She just looked so
DNA.
pissed
She was super choked.
No.
Good.
This is like, oh, I thought you should be. So does that mean those people aren't really racist? If they're like happy they have that DNA? Like, are they the few people that could say like, oh, I'm actually not
brilliant.
racist?
It's a brilliant motherfuck.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's pretty funny.
That's good.
All right, so moving on.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you on the other side of the state of emergency.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
I also was following Jameela Jamil on Twitter a lot this month. She's been
She's fun.
She's awesome. She's really anti like the detoxes and like
and she's calling out big name celebrities.
Yeah,
on it too,
that's
which I
right.
love.
Like Cardi B.
I love Cardi B. Damn it.
But she's selling
Stupid
detox
Cardi B.
teas, right?
Well, I don't like that part.
Everybody's doing detoxes. That's
Cardi B.
You
So,
can still love her. Just
Jameela
still can.
Jamil
buy
is,
her detox tea.
is taking them all down. And they're bad messaging for people. Young women, she says.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
body shaming and
She's pretty good. And she's like kind of anti being airbrushed and
Yeah.
stuff like that too. Yeah. Lots of good things. And it's funny because people are like, oh, you're benefiting from that system of, you know, what is seen as beautiful and stuff like that. And then some of the comments I read were like, well, yeah, that's the people that should, you know, if I benefit from this system and I'm critical of it, that should mean a lot, right? Like,
right.
Of course, all us ugly people are going to be like, oh, that's
not
unnatural
fair.
standard of beauty isn't fair. But no one's going to listen to us. When it's an actual pretty person, you'll be like, oh, maybe it is a bad thing.
Well, and it's better for somebody who's benefiting like from it to be critical of it than to be taking advantage of it and selling detox and pseudoscience.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, follow her, and I follow her on Twitter now too because of this. Because I saw your link.
Right? I just love her. She's amazing.
You guys, sorry, off topic. Social media. Is anyone else just losing it? Like I'm just not going on it. Like I just don't want to.
I can't.
I just can't. I just don't.
I'm on it right now.
Like I do check. I check Facebook, but I'm just like not looking at it as much as I used to. And I'm Twitter. I made an account, and like I think I've probably checked it 10 times since I made the account 9 months ago. And the only one that I'm using more maybe is Reddit.
I'm totally Instagram is totally my.
No,
my,
I don't
that
have
right?
an. I don't Insta.
It's way more interesting. I don't know. Way less cluttered.
I am pulling back a little bit from the social media use, but
you're doing it unconsciously, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to. Whereas I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to. I don't know what it. I don't know. I just don't.
No, I'm still hooked. I can't.
I know I very intentionally am posting a lot of articles and stuff to the Brainstorm page as opposed to just going on and scrolling like I used to.
So much scrolling. I just feel like my brain cells like disintegrate as I scroll. Every thumb motion causes the brain cells to go.
Let me try right now. Let's see how I feel.
You're smart enough.
I'm dumber.
Yeah.
Scrolling.
Dumber.
Oh, cat. Stuff.
So stupid.
I think just because I'm in a few really good groups,
Yeah, for
and
real.
I see a lot of their posts more than other stuff, and like that's kind of where I get my news, and I get a good take on that news instead of like, which I know is kind of an echo chamber, but at the same time, they're usually posting about look at all these jackasses, so I at least know what the jackasses are saying.
I'm about the echo chambers.
Echo.
Is it really like any different than it ever was before? I mean, just people weren't exposed to alternate points of view.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, in the past, it wasn't what we call now echo chamber. Now, just like how cultures developed. Because like if you were like
You're just
whatever, if you were from Transylvania, that was the echo chamber you were exposed to, and then you talked like Dracula, and that's just how it fucking went. Like
exactly.
We assume.
I don't know.
If you live in south of Weyburn in Saskatchewan, then you
live in North Dakota.
basically you're just in that echo chamber, and that's just if everybody in that
Yeah,
you
I
know
think
is
that
this
the
kind of a
difference
person.
is
then-
that you can find yours instead of just being a complete
Right.
Like if you're in an echo chamber that is everyone else's echo chamber, but you're like, oh my god, I can't believe these people. Then you can at least go somewhere
Right.
easily with a few clicks. Be like, oh, here's my people. Okay, thank God.
There are certain echo chambers, though, that are probably better off with social media and internet, and that's like things like incel groups.
right.
Yeah.
Well, they
But, like-
definitely
Like you couldn't
there's
do
good-
that in
good and bad.
your little community pretty easily. You'd have to do that online. I can't imagine it'd be like living in a small town, being like, oh, do you hate women? Oh, I hate women too.
The far right, like white supremacists, used to just do pamphlets,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
like phone calls, and like they
I
would
read
have
that
meetings
too,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, they made a whole racist group.
Yeah,
Social
Yeah.
media.
That's true. That is true.
But to be
But I think
fair,
there
that
was
was
more-
pretty ingrained in the fucking culture. at
I
that
think there was
point.
more of them, right? You could
Yeah, it
just be
was
like,
mainstream.
Hey, do you hate black people? Sweet, yes, so do I.
Yeah, but I think it was more open than that. Like even anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Literal segregation laws.
yeah.
I feel like you don't have to look as hard for wackiness. I think that's maybe the main thing. Like
Which is good and bad, right? There's
Yeah.
the good wacky, and then there's the incel wacky, and it's like
I guess
it's great for those weird kids to find other weird people that like all the weird science.
Why are you looking at me?
Yeah.
I wasn't. I'm looking around.
Sarah,
I just
my feelings
assumed.
are hurt now.
But it's fun to be weird.
I just have to look somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. You're sitting directly.
It's so fun
across
to be weird.
Yeah, so it's instead of being like the only kid in your school that's like that, you can at least find other people. But at the same time, if you really hate women, you can find a whole
people,
group of people. So yeah, I don't think I think it's a wash, and it's
Echo chambers are both bad and good.
yeah. But that's why I go. I mean, it's mostly for my like comfort.
Yeah.
To get my like fix of. Yeah, there's people like me in the world. Okay, it's still fine.
I like the drunk knitting subreddit.
I bet.
Super
That sounds fun.
Oh, and also the aw sub, AWW. That's the best sub. It's all pictures of adorable
Oh, yeah.
animals.
Yeah.
It's like,
See, I
oh.
refuse to go on Reddit because I know that'll just like consume my life.
I like.
So I just rely on my
find like
husband
it's
to send
smarter.
me things from
That's
Reddit.
why Twitter's
and
great
that's-
because it has We Rate Dogs.
Yeah,
Oh,
of that too.
If you don't
Yeah.
follow them, you should.
I don't do the tweetses. I'm sorry.
It's tough to strike a balance. You almost have to find one that you do a lot versus.
Yeah.
I lurk on Reddit too. I don't even post. I'm just a lurker.
Yeah.
I love like
Twitter
the ones
lurker.
where people ask for advice or like the off my chest sub, and it's just like people say their life story, whatever is on their mind, and you're just like, well, that's fucked up, and then like, and that's,
And then you feel better about your life.
and I moved on. Yeah, that's it. Or, I've been finding also, rather than going on social media, I'll go to like a specific news organization that I trust and respect. Like I'll go to like CBC or The Atlantic or whatever.
Right.
Nothing that I have to pay for because I'm cheap. But
I pay for the New York Times.
Gee, look at you.
Yeah, my husband
Putting your money where your mouth is. Good job, team.
Fancy.
Way to keep that dinosaur alive.
Yeah. I was actually listening to an episode of Canada Land about media and the internet, and they talk about like 60% of the traffic that's on the internet is fake, both on the content production side and on the
60%.
on the consumption side.
It seems kind of low.
Wow.
Yeah. So like they suggested that you find a media that you enjoy and pay for it, because that's the ones that'll be, because they're not reliant on clicks. So then they are giving you more reliable reporting.
Sounds to me like the glass is 40% full.
I can weed through that still.
Yeah, 40% isn't bad.
No, I agree with paying for content you like, but I mean, you gotta kind of, there's a paywall for everything. Like, I love the Stay Tuned with Preet podcast. I love it. But then he just started a new one, like that you have to pay, you have to subscribe. I think it's like $7 American a month. And I was like, okay, I really like, and you can buy it annually so that it's like a little bit cheaper and blah, blah. And okay, I really love the podcast. I actually really would probably love to listen
That's
to it.
not a terrible price.
I know, but like then I think like that's like if you do the conversion, that's like what I pay for Netflix a month. Like I mean, everything just erodes your at some point. I guess maybe I should just pay for
you can't
Preet.
do that for like
Stupid
everything,
Preet.
it just chips away.
Well,
I could though. It's such a good podcast. I love him.
For a while, I
do
was
it.
putting quite a bit of money out for various podcasts and creators. And it's like, okay, well, at some point you do have to draw a line. Like
I do this
everybody
podcast
deserves money.
and some other podcasts you don't approve of. But I got a free meditation app out of it.
Okay.
Maybe I'll start doing Preet's podcast too.
That's pretty funny.
The podcast who shall not be named.
Sam Harris's podcast.
I tried his meditation
Okay, but-
stuff. It just grated on my.
You didn't like it, so yeah. I think it depends on what your deal is, like what you like.
Yep, that
It's
makes
very
sense.
personal.
If you like what we're doing and want to help us keep the lights on, go become a patron at patreon.com/brainstorm podcast. You can hear the bonus half hour that we record every episode and get a shout out when you support the show. Become a patron for just $1 an episode at patreon.com/brainstorm podcast. Or you can support the show by ordering a t-shirt, mug or other gear from our store at caffeepress.ca/brainstorm podcast gear. If you can't afford to become a patron or buy gear, then why not give us a rating or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher? Every rating makes it easier for people to find us. Thanks for your support.
Hey everybody, we're the Utah Outcasts, and we want you to listen to our show.
We're a rowdy bunch of super liberal atheists that reside in the state of Utah, who bring you current events and featured content on a semi-weekly basis.
Whether it's us poking fun at the religious right or ranting at the world in which we all reside, we want to borrow your ears for about an hour twice a week.
Hey, and don't forget to tell them the best part about it.
Oh yeah!
The show's free for all.
It is indeed, so if you like free, we're available through iTunes, Overcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, Patreon, and even in full HD video via YouTube. Give us a listen. You won't be sorry.
All right, moving on. What about the Canadian election? I guess Dave will not be able to say much about
I can
this.
today.
Yeah, you can today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now federal politics doesn't matter.
Right. Oh, okay.
That's
Sweet.
fine.
So, I mean, we got an election at the end of the year-ish, right? And
God, my last election, I was living here in Regina. I can't believe how long I've been in Regina. Wow.
Experience Regina.
Fuck.
Yeah. Seems like there's been a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's the area that I work in and the people that I know but nobody that I talk to on a daily basis likes Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
No, that's Saskatchewan.
Where the fuck do you? We do not talk about politics at work. Like I do not. Like it's like there's like sex, politics, all that shit. Nobody touched. Nobody.
Yeah. Well, but it's a few of the like old guys I work with that are like, oh, that pretty boy doesn't know waste time.
Well, one nurse did once say that she doesn't believe in abortion.
Okay.
But other than that, and then we all just kind of like. No, nobody said anything, and we moved on.
That's kind of when you just don't touch with a 10-foot pole in the world. Although if you're a nurse,
well, if you work in the medical system, you're like, yeah, but
in the oil field, it's like, hi, how's it going? Oh yeah, it's not too good because that fucking Trudeau's still in the.
Yeah.
What?
You ever say, but he's so pretty. So pretty. That's what I would say. Makes the best Han Solo. Oh my God.
Yes, please tell me.
I always try to be like,
say that.
He's the one who put taxpayer money into the pipeline that you guys have been clamoring for forever.
Do you ever say, actually, he is like nowhere near left leaning enough for me?
Yeah.
Like,
for real, though.
I do.
Yeah, I hate him too, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, he shouldn't have forced the First Nations protest off of there.
That's right.
No, they don't care about that.
Support.
They don't care about any of that.
You should say that.
Yeah, you should vote for the NDP too.
Yeah.
No, do that.
So what are
Green
predictions
Party?
Then?
What the fuck are you talking about, huh?
What are predictions then?
Okay, so what's happening? There's not going to be an election.
I think Liberal
because of
minority.
time?
Yeah, because it's been 4 years.
Sorry, I am really apparently not.
I'm
so sorry.
Liberal minority government, conservative vote gets split a little bit with the new party.
Maxime Bernier.
NDP gained some ground. Conservatives gained some ground.
I was going to write this down so we can do an episode later and be
I believe it's being recorded.
Okay, good.
That's true.
Somebody write this down. Put it on a chart for us.
I think liberal minority.
I do agree with that. Yeah, liberal minority probably.
And I like that.
God, as long as we don't become as long as there's no populist movement. Please, God.
I don't know. There's like enough
I don't believe
people
in God.
up here that
just clarifying.
Please. There's enough people up here that are like Trump supporters that I feel like that's what they want, right?
Who are those humans here?
Well, they're on the prairies mostly.
Pretty much all of Alberta.
Yeah.
There's a few left-leaning people in Alberta.
Because again, they're not seeing, like, even I had like a really good conversation, and sorry, Mom, if you're listening, because but a lot of her opinions were clouded by other people she knows that are like much more staunch, right? So she is kind of as uninformed as I am about politics, but on certain things like immigration and the refugees and stuff, she was just straight getting wrong information. So based on the information she got, she's like, well, I just don't like what, the Trudeau
what about that
Trudeau
meme that was going around for a while that was like, immigrants make more than people on the old people on with CPP and it was like this really, and it was really like
just
vitriolic. It was bad. There was a meme going around that corrected it too.
Yeah, so like stuff like that, and I'm just like, no, I don't think that's actually true. So I sent her some stuff, and I think she's now like, yeah, I'm actually paying more attention. And when he did his talk here at the University of Regina and said some good stuff, or was some dude said something racist, and he's like, well, actually, immigrants built this country, and that I think she's maybe seeing stuff different. I don't know how she's going to vote, whatever, that's her choice. But but I think even knowing someone as, loving and caring as my mom, to have kind of those opinion before I dug into, I'm like, why do you think like that? What? Why do you want this?
See, my mom's always been like super, super protective of immigrants. Like she would. I grew up in Northeast Calgary, and it kind of went from being like kind of the place that poor rednecky white people
immigrants.
where all the immigrants go to.
Yeah.
So I mean, either way, poor, but it's just different. And so kind of that changed as I grew up all around us. And people would make snarky comments to my mom, "Oh, why don't you move?" Or, you know, and my mom would be like, "These are the best hardworking people." And she was just like, she was always so adamant. And she was like, you know, and anyways, she's like, "I love my neighbors, Ahmed and Mohammed." Like, she's just like, awesome. She's so like.
That neighborhood's really cool. My brother lives there. Like
it's pretty. Which, anyways.
Well, he's up in Temple, but.
Oh yeah, that's very, 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 very close to where I grew up.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I like that area.
To the point that the neighborhood called Martindale, people in town call it Martindala.
Love it. Yeah. So anyway, there's enough people
your mom's
that I think are just not getting the right information and are just hearing all of the like conservatives asshole be like, "Oh, he's doing this," and he's like all the fear mongering and stuff. That I think there's enough people that will vote that way because. Yeah,
but at least the conservatives have like a completely uncharismatic leader, like so completely. Like Stephen Harper wasn't charismatic to me, but apparently was to some people. Yeah. Some people like the sweater vest, but Andrew Scheer, nobody. You just can't.
No, but the people that are
it's not even like vanilla, it's like water.
Right, but the people that like hate Trudeau because he's a pretty boy and he's just a showpiece. They want vanilla right now. They want
but he's
melted
not even
vanilla
like but Andrew Scheer's even vanilla. He's water. Like vanilla tastes good. Yeah. I add it to my cookies, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
It's got a nice smell.
Yeah. No, he's too flashy. They want water now. They're sick of drinking pop. They're cutting back on their sugar for their New Year's resolution.
He resonates here. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He's like a diet ginger ale.
And because he's from here, that doesn't help either.
Diet ginger ale.
No, I actually attended his last...
Ginger ale. I like ginger ale.
I attended his press conference and talked to his team a little bit at the Giant Tiger.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, who, where?
Andrew Scheer. He had a press conference at the Giant Tiger.
You know, I just realized he's an MP here in Regina. I only just realized as I was driving down. I was like, Andrew Scheer's office. What the fuck? I didn't know
No, I knew that because I used to work and live in his area thing. And I kind of knew him because he used to work for my employer. And would come
Regina.
in and
there's never more than like 2 degrees of separation for anyone. That's
so funny. Back when I was conservative and lived in the hood and whatever else, and because I knew him, I'm like, oh, sweet, I'm going to go vote for
you were conservative
this guy
and
that
lived
I know.
In the hood? Tell us the story. Why are we talking about such stupid shit? This is a great
Again, like indoctrination and whatever else. And because like you don't know anything, right? So you just like, oh, there's this guy walking down the street that's like drunk and he fell on my lawn and broke all his beer bottles, and the people, because it's sketchy, so you're just like, oh, all this sketch needs to be cleaned up. Like my impression was that conservative governments would just clean things that, you know, look like magic or something. Like I had no idea.
Do nothing the way they actually do.
So that's basically all it was. Is I just did not know anything.
Poor people with addictions enjoy being cleaned up. I think social work tells us that. Dave, back us up.
Yeah.
It was the like,
Thank you.
Yeah, the people that,
totally.
The ladies next door and the group of dudes walking down the street called them fat, racist words, and then the women stood up for themselves and beaked back at those guys. So then they rushed the house and like took apart my fence to smash their window, and I'm like on the phone with the cops, and they just don't show up. Like I'm sure in my neighborhood now, if I call the cops, they'd be there in 10 minutes. But like there, it was like, okay, so there's a guy with like devil sticks that are on fire, and it's been a really dry summer. He's out on the front lawn with all this. Like, can you like come and make him stop doing that? And they're taking apart my fence, and they smashed the picture window, and I'm like fearing for these women's lives, and I'm just like, I'm not going out there.
What is it, the city? Why is it that you get a different response depending on... I mean, nothing in the city is more than 10 minutes away from anything else. So what... But I don't... It's racist. But it's so weird. It's like... I think it's more of like a social classism thing. Like it's just like...
it's both,
It's like... anyways, one time I had to call the police living in a relatively expensive neighborhood in the East End, and they were there in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because they care about you.
I suppose.
Because it
reminds me not to move to like a shitty neighborhood.
Because depending on your neighborhood, they make assumptions about who you are.
That's 100% it. And like being a super naive white chick who was like, oh, the houses in this area are really cheap. I'm going to move in with my boyfriend. That's the best idea I ever had. I had no fucking idea. Like I've never.
How did you not know that?
Smoked a joint.
Where were you from?
From here.
You're from Regina and you didn't know not to move to the hood.
But that block seemed good. The neighbors seemed nice. They're
block
nice little
seemed
old
good.
people next to. Again, this is the level of naivete that we're working with here. When I was like 18.
Very impressive.
And
it's like I'm gonna go to the swimming pool. There's like a peeing section over there, but it's gonna be okay. Like, I'm gonna stay in this section.
I'll just stay right by that section. It won't matter.
And you look at a place in winter, it's like there's not people walking around. Like nobody's doing crimes here. Like it's fine. Everything's covered in snow, and then it melts, and then everybody like starts going outside. And yeah, I'd be like driving to work in the morning and seeing lots of things, and I'm like, really? It's like 8 a.m. I'm like, I had no idea because I was such a goody. I still am a goody, but at least I know that things exist now. Drugs are a thing and crime is a thing, whereas I don't think I really knew that before.
Drugs and crime are things.
Yeah,
they're things.
I don't think I knew that before. So yeah, but like, yeah, I was conservative out of fear.
Right.
So that's kind of the same. So I see how when it's painted to you as this would get fit. This is a problem, and it's a problem because we're not hard enough on it. Like if we just clean up North Central,
that's
it'll
still
get,
a pretty
like
prevalent attitude.
100%, because it makes sense on the surface because you just
what does that mean? Cleaning up? So I mean,
means
me,
arresting everybody.
Right, but what you want is
exactly.
like
I have no
what you
idea.
want is actually like people to have good lives, to have like economic prosperity and have the possibility of their children to have better life.
You're
and
taught
get out
and
of
you
addiction
believe that if you're a good person, you'll get ahead and you'll succeed. So if that person over
bullshit.
there is on drugs and welfare and whatever, that means that they're a bad person. Oh. So all of these bad people need to be dealt with so that our city can be great. So if that's what you believe, and because it's been what you've been taught, and it's still a pervasive thing, right? Why can't you just get off drugs? Why can't you just get a job? Why can't you just...
They need a holy shit moment.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah.
Somebody needs a holy shit moment.
Yeah.
It's probably Andrew Scheer.
It's probably.
But that's the thing, right? So now all of these people are lesser than you, so you don't have as much compassion for them. You don't care what happens to them. You just want them to all go away.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you vote that way, right?
Because nobody's going to make them go away. Like, they're still humans. You need to deal with them. There's no concentration camp.
But you think there is because you think they're all doing something criminal. And
you wanted some sort of final solution for the freaking residents of North Central.
You know what? Like, this is sounding really dark, but I think the majority of people, if you push this, not the final solution, but if you said we're going to make harsher sentences, we're going to keep them in jail for like 25 years if they do certain things. Like, I think a lot of people would support that, unfortunately.
But that's assuming that sentences disincentivizes that kind of behavior.
Well, I know, but that's what they think.
And even if it doesn't, I don't care because at least you're not on the streets anymore.
That's what they think.
Put them away for life.
Exactly.
Gone for life. Then I'm happy because you're not around me.
These are the same people who think
anymore.
like, if I found somebody stealing stuff on my farm, I'd just shoot them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a popular opinion here. That's not it's not a fringe opinion.
No, that's a mainstream opinion.
It's like, you can defend yourself by killing somebody, like defend your property.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, not just defend yourself, but defend your stuff.
Your stuff.
Yeah. It's like the law would say otherwise, but whatever.
But they've actually just changed the law. Actually, what was the?
Oh yeah,
I
heard about this.
Yeesh.
So
can you explain, Dave? What is the?
I can't remember the specifics, but I think there is more flexibility for you to protect yourself now. So
yeah.
Well, I thought to protect yourself, like if somebody's going to kill me, then sure I should.
Yeah,
but no, there's a new law. There's a new thing in Saskatchewan here.
Yeah.
Because I knew, like a cop friend of mine explained it to me that you can't show any premeditation. So he said, you do not have a bat under your bed for if an intruder comes in. You keep your bat in your closet along with your baseball glove and your baseball because that's just where you store your sports equipment. And it just happened to be what you grabbed when the intruder came. But if you have the bat under your bed for the purpose of fighting off an intruder, then you no longer have a self-defense.
They just don't know if it's under your bed or not. So they'll. Not just kidding.
But like you're gonna have to explain why you killed or assaulted somebody. And if you say, I grabbed the bat from under my bed that I keep for just such an occasion, then it's like, okay, well, that's not actually self-defense.
Well,
you planned on
that's interesting.
using deadly force on somebody.
There is a case in Weyburn right now, actually, of this.
Right.
There was a home invasion, and the person who lived there had an illegal firearm, and they used it, and one of the people died. One of the intruders died. So now the person who had the home invasion done on them is getting charged with murder.
Yeah.
And it's a really bizarre case. I mean,
and you have to use reasonable force.
Yes.
If somebody comes in unarmed, you can't use a gun. If somebody comes in,
especially an illegal gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's me as a woman could maybe use a baseball bat on a guy with fists, but you as a big dude, you have to use your fists if he's using his fists, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can't just pull out. You can't bring a gun to a knife fight if you want to claim self-defense.
I got to read up on this law again because it's been I did.
Whatever.
But,
Anyways,
but
I would say, arguably, as a woman, I have much less physical.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ability.
You could have a weapon against a dude,
and I also don't have like a lot of. I mean, in order to do well in a knife fight, one requires a lot of training, whereas there's a lot of things about gun safety, but it's a much easier to train to use a gun to defend yourself.
Right, but you as a woman, you might be able to use a gun against somebody that has a knife, or even.
Probably
a dude
it's more like you probably shouldn't just shoot. You probably should try to de-escalate before you shoot them.
Well, that's the point. Yeah,
and as the Colton Bougie case showed us, it just depends on the jury and whether or not you can demonstrate that you felt
a lot
like
of that
you were
is
in danger, and
the burden of proof to actually get convicted of murder is really, really hard. To prove. I mean, tons of it was probably bias and all of that. But even if the situation was totally different, it's quite. If you're a white dude, it's quite hard to get actually convicted when it's not like we have video evidence of this actually because there was enough this and confusion and that, like if there's any amount of doubt, you have to acquit.
Right.
So, like, you're kind of screwed. But the problem with that is that basically gives free license for people to do that again in the future, right?
Use excessive force to defend themselves type thing.
Yeah, because the system is meant to protect the accused in a lot of cases. Now, again, if it was the other way around, racism is going to play a part in that too. And, I have no doubt that he killed him, right? So I'm going to convict because I have no doubt. But it's like, no, white people don't kill people. I have my doubts.
Not without good reason.
There's no video evidence, so I'm going to acquit, right? So it's multifaceted, but it's still very difficult to fully convict. Anyway. That was all from like asking about the election?
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
Well, we were talking about the voting patterns of this area.
Yeah, this area.
And my history.
Well, because you mentioned that you used to live in the hood.
In the hood.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the deep hood. It was
the deep hood. I love it.
What's deep hood, like fourth?
Is
that like
Ritalik and fourth?
I was on 600 block Garnet.
Okay, yeah, you're a little off the beaten path.
Exactly.
Like you're close,
so
but you're.
It's like hood light, Mom. I'll be fine. Yeah. And then I almost got home invaded, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna move back home. That's enough for it.
Yeah,
my boyfriend was out of town.
That's that's like a real thing to be worried about in Regina. Like actually home invasions if you're in the wrong place, and even in nice neighborhoods it happens. So
true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in Broder's Annex and almost got home invaded a couple times.
Oh,
right.
I got invaded in my secure undergrad brand new parking garage in my new condo in the East End. So.
Oh, that's fun.
Car invaded. I just mean somebody broke into my car.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That's unnerving.
See, the thing is, when I lived in the like rich neighborhood with my parents, my car got broken into all the I didn't lock the doors because I was sick and getting my window smashed. Lived in the hood, Not once, because they assume you don't have anything good.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm not going to break into. But like, it was like an '89 Mustang LX. Like, I didn't have. Like, it wasn't a good car.
Yeah.
Even though it was in a
Looked
good
too
neighborhood.
poor.
Why do you assume I have a stereo? Because I don't. You've broken into this 20 times. I mean, I guess it was different people every time, but it's like, I don't have anything to steal. Stop breaking into my shit. But that never once happened when I lived in the hood.
They'll but if somebody sees like even like a dime on your cup holder or something, like they'll break in just for that.
Yeah, some people will.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've worked with these people who do it, so I have a good understanding of why they do it. And it's just like,
my glove box was open and emptied of all the
Yeah.
papers every time, and the speaker panels were pulled back to see if I had better speakers in them. But never once in the hood.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, I guess we'll go through these real quick. There was some pseudoscience crowdfunded articles. Crowdfunding was going towards cancer treatments and homeopathy.
Oh, yes.
And in the U.S., Republicans are crazy again for Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. And everything she says is targeted, and her existence is.
And I love her like social media game.
Oh yeah,
I just absolutely love it.
She's amazing.
She's my new hero.
Well, she's a viable threat to them as a candidate.
Right, eh?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
She's actually like young and charismatic and good on social media, like in the way that like
everything.
Donald Trump is considered good on social media.
Yeah.
That's sad. Pun intended.
Sad.
Canada gave a Saudi asylum seeker refuge, I guess.
And conservatives lost their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course they did, right?
Yeah.
What was her name? Rahaf Mohammed Al-Qanun. Although I've heard that she dropped the Al-Qanun now because she's
denouncing her family.
Denouncing her family.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My only fear with this is that like she didn't go through the regular refuge, and I feel like it's just everybody's going to do this, and we're going to have to say no to people, but it's going to be much more publicized now because everybody's going to have a social media campaign to get into Canada or wherever else they want to go. And, this is just kind of setting the precedent for that. So like, I don't think it was wrong that we did it. It's just, it's a slippery slope. And I worry that so many other people are going to have false hope and try to jump the queue and do it this way instead of, applying for refugee status the way you normally do, I guess.
Referencing Canada Land again, like the whole, like, we support this girl because she's facing gendered violence in her home country, and then actually pretty much the same time, hospitals in Winnipeg and in Manitoba have been taking and child services have been taking children away from Indigenous families under the presumption that they are going to be in trouble
mothers.
or whatever. Yeah, are unfit mothers without
any proof. Yeah.
So like
exactly. And
like,
as if there's not tons of refugees that were also facing
gendered
violence and
we did
everything else, right?
As a country, we did the right thing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we gotta recognize when we're not doing the best in other ways.
Yeah. Dave, did you see that piece on the baby who was taken away?
I don't know that I did.
I'm just wondering if you had a take on it as a.
Well, I do want to say one thing about that issue as a whole is I think I don't want to excuse anything social services does. I think they've had a pretty dark history at times.
Right.
But at the same time, like I don't think the public quite understands the way the policy interacts with the situations.
Right.
And just kind of assumes the worst sometimes. It's a really, really convoluted, complicated process.
Yeah.
To have people taken out of your home. Like it's not quite as simple as people think it is.
No. This was a case of a newborn baby being taken away in the hospital.
Yes, that happens. Yes, that has happened.
Apparently the hospital staff thought the mother was drunk when she came in to give birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had a previous issue with social services before, or
I mean,
had her kids taken away before.
They probably don't know all the details of everything in that investigation. I guarantee it, because it's really difficult.
Well, because the thing I read an article on CBC about it, and the thing I felt was that it's a little bit unfair to social services because the family can say whatever, they're free citizens, they can say whatever they want,
but
how they felt.
Can't divulge
then whereas social services, the only thing they did say was that the mother knew ahead of time that it was going to happen.
Oh.
That's what they said. The family said the opposite. So that they didn't know. So I don't know. I do kind of feel like, like in healthcare, for example, if we couldn't speak, for example, to if somebody was going on the media saying, the care at the cancer center was terrible,
we got
blah, blah,
awful care. Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you whether or not. I
can't
because
I do know with confidence that the process for having that done is very complicated and very thorough. It's not just willy-nilly. Like it's really, it really isn't. And that
was my instinct as well, because I did have a friend that worked in the child, is one of the people that would maybe take your child away kind of thing, right? So
if you see the paperwork and the policy involved in this, you would be like, oh, okay, so based on
that, the assumption is that this story's overblown.
It's probably a little bit exaggerated. I don't think, I'm not going to fault it for pointing out a social problem. There's definitely a problem there.
Yeah.
We have as a society had a problem with taking Indigenous children from
right. So I think that's probably why that might be triggering to people.
But people won't want
reminiscent of past.
People don't want the alternative where, like in the States, where the kid that shot up the school, like they had made multiple calls about him being a risk and nothing was done about it. Like everybody would hate to find out that I called about this mother because I was really concerned and nobody did anything about it, and now the kid has a broken arm or it's dead or something, right? So it's like when it deals with children, it's really hard to not err on the side of caution. I mean, fully taking a child away is one thing, but they're going to do a welfare check, right? Like they're going to look into it. So you can be super racist and just be making calls just because they're, there are people I don't like, I'm just going to make calls on them. They're going to still follow up. So you're going to get harassed by them. Maybe, but
here's the bottom line with all this though, is that mistakes happen in this industry and it's not perfect, and you're dealing with really complicated stuff. So really difficult social issues. Now, if you want this to function better, you have to put more money into it.
Yes.
It's just that simple. And do you think that that's a top priority for the voter public right now? I don't believe that they're going to say next provincial election, you need to increase the social services budget by, this many $1 billion. That's not going to happen.
Things like this might help with that.
I don't know that it will.
No,
I don't know. I think it upsets a certain portion of the population, but not the majority of the province. Yeah. Majority of the province is probably good. That mother was a that blah blah blah.
Yeah, she had it coming. Yeah.
We live in a conservative province that has a conservative slant to social issues, and they would never, in my opinion, they would never want social services to be funded to the way that it should be, because that'll take too much away from tax dollars apparently. So. Yeah. So
although it probably would do a lot more to clean up, say, North Central. Than
I was just going to say,
heavy-handed policing, high sentences.
But they don't want social services. They want cops to arrest the parents.
I know we're just shooting from the hip here, but I'm pretty sure that social services being funded properly is actually more evidence-based and has better effects than policing, like the broken windows type policing. That's an evidence-based.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Well, and that's where with the Housing First program in town, which is it's a branch of that kind of social work. It's leading the charge in some of that mentality where it's let's provide a service, let's invest in a service, and that service should draw focus off of policing, off of hospital visits, off of those things. Yeah. And it is evidence based, and it is something that's actually being implemented. Thankfully to federal governments. I mean, conservatives, to their credit, did actually fund that initially. Liberals have increased that funding. and still, as far as I know, I don't know if they're going to renew the contract this year or not, but they're supposed to. So yeah, like when we do try things like that, you see results and you have data to back it up. So that's like only one facet, but totally. And the investment is less. Like, we're talking about housing programs in town that are like, I think it's only a few $1 million really that the feds give us. Like it's not like a huge, investment compared to other things.
Yeah.
And it's done quite a bit already. So yeah, you're totally right. Like that's where they should focus the investment and the time, not into, well, they increase police budgets, right? And then they're like, oh, well, that's gonna help
make our city safer.
But people like that.
So I walk down the street and I'm rarely tempted to break into somebody's car. Now, I have a good job.
So sometimes,
why? Rarely.
And a good job. I have a safe place to live. I have food on the table. I know that, even I remember being really broke and being worried, like, what if my kid loses his winter boots? I'm fucked. I cannot afford to buy new, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not living on the precipice of being fucked, right? To the point where you would be like, okay, I might at some point be desperate enough to break into a car for a dime, right? So, I'm fortunate in that way. I don't have major trauma issues that I'm, medicating with, alcohol or drugs because I have no other outlet and I have shitty things going on. I'm fortunate to have a good, like a charmed life almost, right? So that's why I don't break into cars, not because there might be a cop, right? And you would have to have a lot of cops for there to be enough to disincentivize somebody who wanted to do this. Because most of the time in the city, there isn't a cop, right?
Well, yeah,
right.
Which is going to get caught after the fact.
Which is why I drive 52 instead of 50 around the city. You know what I mean? Like, really, like so. Yeah. I mean, look how many texting and driving there. It doesn't matter how it doesn't matter, right? You have to do it. The other people have to buy in, and people have to not be hurting in order and so that they don't break into cars because I don't not break into cars because there might be a cop.
Yep.
I don't break into cars because I'm in a good position.
Yeah, you don't need to. Yeah. No, that's the reality of it. And
rarely,
but still sometimes.
I didn't say that. I said rarely.
And that's where maybe I shouldn't say this much, but but that's where the balance is. In terms of why we have social services, why we have, income assistance, all these things is like, let's give people just enough so they don't do too much. like that seems to be the focus, right? Yeah. Like it's not like let's give people enough. It's like, let's give them
just enough that they don't do too much.
Yeah. That society isn't completely falling apart. Because if you didn't have a social security of any sort, like no welfare, no EI, none of that stuff, like people would be hurting.
Yeah,
Mad Max, man.
Well, there would be a lot more need for people to be violent, right?
Well, gotta have a revolution somehow.
Well, there you go. so that's why they give you just enough to avoid that, right? So that's the idea.
All right. There's many more headlines. I'll include extra links in the show notes and stuff.
This could be a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot of links.
But I will, let's go to a break. We obviously don't have time to talk about all of this stuff. So, all right, let's cue that outro music.
The outro music one last time. Here we go. Comes.
All right. For all the things, you can check out the show notes at our website, brainstormblog.net, and on our hosting page, thebrainstormpodcast.com. Thanks to our financial supporters, Driffa, Kayla, Kim, Stephanie, Zach, the Utah Outcasts, Will, Aaron, Daryl, Bob Glenn, Destin Doesn't Suck That Much, Magnus, several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave, Positively Skeptical, Rob, the Podunk Polymath, the Flying Spaghetti Monster Sauce Be Upon Him, Freethinker215, and Larry. I swear, if we ever hit 20 patrons, I will stop reading all of them.
What happened to Destin Sucks? Damn it.
You can change your name now.
Does fucking suck. Where the fuck are you, Destin?
If you want to join them and help the show grow, then you can do that at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. Or go buy some stuff at tpublic.com/stores/brainstorm-podcast-gear. This is normally where I would mention the next live show, but we probably won't be live until I figure this shit out. So
I'm sorry.
No worries. Everyone. But we will be posting on Facebook and Twitter to let everybody know what's going on. Big thanks to James Fell for joining us. You can find more of his stuff at bodyforwife.com. So make sure to check that out. Thanks to everybody who came out tonight. And thank you, Dave, for doing the studio thing.
Thank you.
We love you.
It's been a slice.
All right. Thanks for the intro music, Dave. Thanks to Aaron Rabbi from Embrace the Void for doing the voiceover. You can find his stuff at voidpod.com. Thanks to Alex Kepper-Murdoch for doing the voiceover for our ads. And thanks to Jason Camo for our outro music. You can find his stuff at aloststateofmind.com. All music played is either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on SOCAN, you can check out the music license info page on our website, brainstormblog.net. Make sure to tune in to our brainstormafterhours.com for the bonus content. Remember to give us a rating, a thumbs up, or a fave on your podcatcher of choice. Join our Facebook group, like our page, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our subreddit, sign up for our newsletter, share the show, and spread the word. The more you share, comment, and like our stuff, the more it helps the show grow. Thanks for listening, and remember, the truth matters.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Cory, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.